Okay, so the Jaguars and the Bears are going to kick off our Sunday morning in London. Jaguars second home. The Bears are listed as a home team, but really this is the Jaguars second home. They play here every year. They play their best ball here. And this game is going to be, I think these are two similar teams if you ask me. Both coaching staffs, are very questionable. Their decision making is very questionable. I think that both quarterbacks are very questionable. Both defenses are pretty good. For the exception of the Jaguars last week, but both defenses are pretty good. Both teams want to run the football, but the Jaguars run the football a little better. They have a quarterback that has a little more experience than Trevor Lawrence. But it's going to be a defensive game, man. It's going to be a defensive game, or it could be a very sloppy football game. It could be high scoring, but a very sloppy high scoring game, if that makes sense. I could see each quarterback throwing a pick six. So that's what kind of quarterbacks we have here today, or that we will have on Sunday. I'm not high on any of these quarterbacks, as I've said already, but I think the Jaguars have a little bit better of a run game, and their defensive line. That's my big key for this game. The Jaguars' defensive line. And how bad the Bears' offensive line is. You watched last week's game versus the Colts. This Jaguars' defensive line was relentless. And the Colts have a good offensive line, man. They have good tackles. They have a good football team. Or they have a good offensive line. I don't know why I said football team, but the Colts have one of the best offensive lines in the league. Yet, Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, that Jaguars' defensive line, had themselves a day. They had a great day. I think, they had pressures all day long, strip sacks, anything you could ask for from a defensive line, from edge rushers. Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen's delivered. And now you're going up against one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL, and the Bears, and a quarterback that has been on and off, who's been hot and cold. This Jaguars defensive line is going to make the difference, and that extra turnover that's caused by the pressure, Caleb Williams throwing an interception or two or three. I could see him. I could see Caleb Williams throwing two or three interceptions in this game, and the Jaguars being put in good field position because the Bears do have a good defense. They do. This is going to be a defensive battle, or unless it's a sloppy football game, just both defenses aren't playing good and offenses are just playing sloppy, but still getting away with it. I could see that being that kind of a game. But I'm taking the better run game in Jacksonville, in London. And the Jaguars always play better in London as well. So give me the better run game. Give me the better defensive line. Give me the quarterback with a little more experience. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars 20-16 in London over the Chicago Bears. As you see, the Bears are favored by 1. I would not touch this line with the 10-foot pole. I would not touch this game betting-wise at all. So next up, you have another NFC South showdown. Saints, Bucks, Falcons. It's going to be a race. It's going to be a great race to number 1 and who wins that crown this year. But Saints have not been looking good. Bucks, both teams are coming off of a loss. Both teams are looking to get back in the win column this week. And let's talk about the Bucks, man. So when the Buccaneers have played some good offenses, when this Buccaneers offense has played some really good defenses, they really only played one. The Broncos. This Buccaneers offense really struggled against a good, consistent defense with some playmakers on every level. The Saints defense, I'm confident in. I am confident in the Saints defense being consistent all day long, and it is a very good defense. They did a very good job against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs last week. But you're playing a more complete offense, an offense that's healthy, and I think that's going to be a difference for the Bucs in this game. The offense is healthy, way more healthy versus the Chiefs. Baker Mayfield's clutch. He'll make the big-time plays in the big-time moments. In the biggest moment of the game, Baker Mayfield will deliver. And I think Spencer Rattler is going to be starting this game, I heard. Don't get me wrong, I love Rattler. But who are you taking right now? Baker Mayfield's been an MVP candidate. He's been playing some of his best football. You cannot take that away from him. Now, a couple weeks ago versus the Broncos, like I started talking about earlier, when the Bucs played, an actual really good defense, they've played some really poor defenses. I will say Atlanta's defense is probably one of the better defenses they played so far this year. But besides the Broncos, and they had a really good day against Atlanta's defense. A little disappointing towards the end, I'll be honest. But I just think that this Bucs offense is going to be able to make that extra play over that Saints offense. Look at all the playmakers they have. Both teams have really big time playmakers, but I mean, I like the Bucs offense more. I like the Bucs defense a little bit more as well because the more consistent, I think that this Bucs team is a little more disciplined compared to the Saints. The Saints always play really sloppy football. First 2 weeks, the Saints were the most dominant team of football. Last couple weeks, they look like one of the more sloppy teams in football. And they can't get out of their own way. Really struggled versus the Chiefs last week. And you look at that Falcons game a couple weeks ago. That game should have never been that close. The Saints should have had that game wrapped up long before then. Long before then, that game-winning field goal by Koo. I can't even say his name right now. But Saints are giving 3.5. Bucs are favored by 3.5. I honestly wouldn't put money in this game, even though I have the Bucs winning by 7 points. It's a divisional matchup. The Bucs have looked really good. They've had, they are coming off a loss, but they have generally been a very good football team so far this year. That was a divisional game as well, so it is what it is. And the Falcons are a good football team. I think the Falcons are one of the better teams in the NFL. Kirk Cousins and all those weapons over there, yeah, they certainly are. Certainly one of the better offenses. And the Bucs defense is beat up. They're going to start getting a little more healthier. And playing a younger quarterback. And, a Saints offense just can't get out of their own way. Even though they're going to have a new quarterback. I love Spencer Rattler. I'm not going to take him over Baker Mayfield at this point. So give me Baker Mayfield. Give me this Bucs offense. And taking the Buccaneers. 27-20 in this NFC South showdown. It should be a good game. I could see it being a really sloppy game. Just because it's a divisional game. And the Saints are a very sloppy football team. And typically that crap is contagious in football games. If you haven't noticed, sloppy football is contagious. It can be very contagious. And it seems like every team that plays the Saints get a little sloppy too. They play some sloppy football, but I just can't get it. I just can't get away from the fact that the Saints make as many stupid and sloppy plays as they do, like versus the Falcons, the muff punt, the pick six, and the penalties, and just the way they play sometimes, dude. I can't get that out of my head. And the Bucs are quite the opposite. They're a very disciplined football team. Baker Mayfield is clutch. Good offensive line, going to be able to run the football. Saints could run the football too. A good offensive line as well. Good defense line as well. But I just trust the Bucs so much more in this game. So give me the Bucs over the Saints. Colts and Titans. This is a tough football game to predict. I think this is the most difficult game to predict over the weekend. You look at the Colts, you look at the Titans. Titans are coming off the bye. So that's why I'm picking the Titans. That's one big reason. But the Titans defense, that's a good defense. They did a very good job against the Dolphins. The Dolphins offense and the Dolphins team in general has not really been the team we've seen the last couple of years with Tua and Tyreek. Of course, Tua's hurt. They have a lot of injuries, poor offensive line. Receivers are trying to adjust. Regardless, containing really fast, probably the fastest skill group in the NFL. And Tyreek, Waddle, Achane, Mostert. That is a speedy, insanely fast, elusive, full of explosive players type of a skill position group. And they did a damn good job. And they found their identity in that game before the bye week. And I think that's big coming this week versus the Colts. They ran that football, and they ran it, and they pounded the football against the Dolphins. Dolphins run defense, not good. Colts run defense, crap. One of the worst in the NFL. The Colts have one of the worst defenses in the NFL regardless. And the Saints have an alright, and the Titans have a good defense. They really do. On all levels of the ball, the Titans have a good defense. They have playmakers on every single level. And I think Anthony Richardson is going to struggle against that. I think he's going to struggle against a defense that's going to be calling all different plays, all different coverages, man coverage, this and that. But, yeah, I just think that the Titans' ability to run the football and control this game how they want to, limit possessions for Anthony Richardson. No Jonathan Taylor. That's a big loss as well. But a couple weeks ago, I will mention the Titans' performance versus Malik Willis was not good. That was very bad. It was a very bad game for the Titans defense. And now you're going up against this, quarterback. I think Malik Willis is much, much better than Anthony Richardson. I don't think that's much of a conversation. But Anthony Richardson, he's still a mobile quarterback. How are the Titans going to do against that? No Jonathan Taylor. But I just trust this Titans offense a little bit more. That Titans defense is a little bit better. They have the extra rest. As you see, the 2.5 point spread, I wouldn't touch this game either. I wouldn't touch a lot of games this weekend. They're tough games, man. Tough games, weird spreads. But give me the Titans 24-20, man. I mean, the only thing that I will say that the Colts may have going for them in this game, a couple things maybe. You do have Anthony Richardson, and the Titans haven't really looked good against the run. Colts offense is better in certain ways, but passing the football, they're not as good. You don't have that experience. You don't have a guy that has seen it all, so he knows exactly where to go. He knows what to do. Even though the offense is very horizontal, what they are, it's quite the opposite. But the offense also can't execute, even though it's more of a vertical offense in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like, they can run the football really well, yes. But if you need to make a big-time throw on 3rd and short, on 4th and short to win the football game, or even on a 2-point conversion or just a big 4th down, I'm not too sure Anthony Richardson can do that. I'm not too sure Will Levis can do that either. I don't think Will Levis is good. But the Titans are a better football team at this time of moment than the Colts. They have a better defense. They can run the football better. But another thing, see, this is just a very difficult game to predict. It really can go either way. Even though the way I'm talking about it, I'm really favoring the Titans. This game can truly go either way. How are the Titans going to play against another mobile quarterback? And they are. How is this defense going to look? And I will say that Colts offense line is one of the best in the NFL. And the Titans defense line has been pretty lackluster. They have struggled to get pressure. So, I don't really think it matters if you struggle to get pressure against Anthony Richardson or not, though. Anthony Richardson makes so many self-inflicted mistakes rather than the defense forcing the mistakes. I don't think the defense really has to force too many mistakes. Anthony Richardson just kind of does them on his own. So, not being pressured, I don't think that really makes too much of a difference with Anthony Richardson at times, to tell you the truth. But give me the Titans 24-20. Titans at home, coming off the bye week, extra rest. Better defense. I'm more confident in that Titans defense getting the extra turnover or two. Like I said, Anthony Richardson is very, very good at making his own mistakes. Very good at digging himself his own holes, his own grave. And turnovers, the fumbles, bad throws. Even the red zone, he's looked horrible. He's made a couple really bad interceptions. Really bad throws straight to the defender in the red zone a couple times. Can't complete drives sometimes. And the Colts do have so many good weapons. Michael Pittman might not play either, I heard. But give me the Titans 24-20. Titans should win this football game. Eagles and Browns. The Eagles are the much better football team, right? But the Browns have just been a dumpster fire. They've been a dumpster fire. You look on paper, this Browns team is on paper they look like one of the better teams coming into the NFL. Getting Watson back, they made the playoffs with Joe Flacco, but literally nothing is going right for the Browns. Maybe their defense is what's best for them in Jerome Ford. Other than that, it really hasn't been too much. There's been a couple games where you've been spotted points. You basically have been spotted 7 to begin the game. They're so sloppy. They're so undisciplined. The offensive line is horrible, and that Eagles that Eagles defensive line has not been good at getting pressure. But this game they probably will be able to pretty good because of how bad that Browns offensive line is. There's no communication, way too many untouched defenders let into the backfield, let into just tackling and sacking, getting to the quarterback and Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, Hurts hasn't been good. He has been pressured a lot. Hurts hasn't been good. Doesn't read the field well. Been very turnover prone. And, how are the Eagles looking health-wise going into this game? Well, it's quite the opposite of what it was before last week. The Eagles are going to be getting A.J. Brown back, Devontae Smith, and Lane Johnson. So again, some of their biggest playmakers back. Important. That's big. And they are favored by a lot. I think 9.5 is a little too much, just because of how sloppy just this team has been. The Eagles, how many turnovers, Jalen Hurts not taking care of the football. But I could also see the Eagles winning by more than 20, just because of how bad the Browns are. So this is a game that's just, I don't know if I would bet on. I don't know. I really don't think I wouldn't, just because of how weird these two teams have been. We know that the Browns are horrible. We don't know enough about the Eagles yet. We still don't have a full grasp on them. I wasn't big on them coming into the season. I wasn't. Truly. There are a couple of issues with that team. Defensive line can't really get pressure, but they should be able to get pressure no problem this week. They should be able to run the football really well. Brown's not really looking good stopping the run, but, don't get me wrong. Jalen Hurts has been pressured a bit this season, and he hasn't looked good. And now you're going up against Myles Garrett and a really good defensive line, even though the Browns, it's just so questionable. Like, they look so good on paper in some spots, but then it looks horrible where they look so good on paper. It's like, what is going on? But I'm confident in the Eagles winning, but not by more than 10. I honestly don't know. I honestly can't tell you to bet on that and that they will win by more than 10. But give me Eagles. I am confident the Eagles winning, just not that spread. So give me Eagles 26-17 over Browns. Cardinals and Packers. This is another game where you look at it from the surface, you look at it quick, and you're like, oh, it's a tough game. But the more you think about it, I think this game really leans towards the Packers. I mean, the Cardinals have been an interesting football team. I'm still trying to get a grasp on them. It's been a weird football season, man. It really has. A lot of teams that are usually bad playing really good football. Some teams that are really good just playing really bad. So many weird things going on this year. It's just different. But the Cardinals, their first couple weeks are playing some really good football. Bad record. And then the last couple weeks looking bad. You really struggle against the Commanders. The Commanders supposedly look like one of the better teams in the NFL. And then you go ahead and beat the Niners the way you did. It's like very inconsistent. You know what I mean? But I think that this is a game. They're traveling to Green Bay. It's a 1 o'clock game for them, which is a little different for the Cardinals. Usually they're used to playing at 4, which is their normal time. But you're traveling to Green Bay. You got all those weapons that you got to worry about. Even though, Green Bay, I'd be worried myself, because their weapons, you do have a couple weapons, and a lot of guys are very capable of making plays, but guys are also capable of making stupid mistakes. Who's going to step up for Jordan Love? Jordan Love, he seems more of a second half type of quarterback. And I'm not too confident in that Cardinals defense against this Packers offense. And, Josh Jacobs has been really good. This Packers run offense has been really underrated. No one's talking about it enough. I like how Josh Jacobs looks in this offense. He looks really good. I don't think anybody's talking about that enough. But I do think the Packers are the better football team. And the Cardinals going to Lambeau, playing at 1 o'clock, a little bit different, But, yeah, give me Packers 28-24. It's just, Cardinals are too inconsistent. You don't know where you can get from them from week to week. And they're given 5 points. Another tough spread. Spreads are tough this week, dude. They are. You don't know how this game is going to go. You don't know what Cardinals team you're going to get. You don't know what Packers team you're going to get. You don't know what receivers are going to show up for the Packers. You don't know what defense is going to show up for the Packers. You know what I mean? But I'm confident the Packers win this game. I am. But the spread? Yeah. I don't know. Man, this game is going to be a great game. You have an up-and-coming young team that has been hungry, that's been one of the best in the NFL, and the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels looking like an MVP candidate. It's just Commanders defense looking better than we thought. Commanders team in general, everything about the Commanders has just looked so much better than we ever thought they would. But this week, I hate to be the Debbie Downer. I hate to be the one that's going to, be the party pooper here, but The Ravens overall are a better football team. If you ask me how one of these teams are going to win this football game, is who is going to control the clock better, who is going to have that longer drive, which defense is going to make that stop. And I think the Ravens team, this Ravens football team will do all three. It's going to be a good football game. Like I said, it's going to be one of those three things you have to do in this game, or all of them. You have to control the game. It's probably the least important, honestly, because they go back and forth really. But if you can control the game, keep the Commanders' offense off the field, which has been so damn strong, and considering the Ravens have Derrick Henry, who has practically been unstoppable, looking like himself a couple years back in the Titans when the Titans were on that crazy run. But and of course you have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been throwing the football at a really high level. It's just, I don't think the Commanders are going to be able to do it this game. I don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think they're going to be able to hang with the Ravens. I think they're going to hang with them, and they're going to make it a good game. But I don't think they're going to beat the Ravens. And this is going to be a big game for them, an important game though, for down the line. If they continue to play the way they have been, continue to play like the best team in football, this is going to be a big, important game for them to learn from if they lose. Even if they do win, they've played some not so great football teams. Okay, let's be honest. They haven't had the hardest of schedules, other than, you look at the schedule after week 1. You play the Giants. Okay, beat the Giants. That was a close game. You're actually fortunate that you won the football game, because the Giants had a kicker. I'm pretty confident the Giants would have won that football game. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Bengals. The Bengals have Joe Burrow. Other than that, and Jamar Chase. Other than that, the Bengals aren't really a complete football team. Their defense is not really good. But still, that was an impressive game. The Bengals are still considered one of the better teams in football because of Joe Burrow. And that's a game that no one expected you to win. And I didn't, anyways. But you beat the Bengals, props. You smoked the Cardinals. And you beat up on the Browns pretty good. So, you smoked the Cardinals, good. And the Cardinals look like a good football team. You beat up on the Browns pretty good. You should have. The Browns are a pretty bad football team. But it seems like they're heating up. Like they're getting better as the year goes on. Every single game, they're getting a little bit better. Like, week 1, they look pretty bad. Week 2, okay, you got fortunate. Week 3, all right. Seems like you took the next step forward. They're just playing better football all around. And then they smoked the Cardinals and they beat up on the Commanders really well. Or they beat up on the Browns pretty good. So this team is getting better. The more they win, the better they're getting. You know what I mean? But now they're playing a heavyweight. They're playing one of the best teams in the NFL. And I got to see how they stack up against that. I got to see, can their defense make that extra stop? Can they control the game if they need to? Can they run the football a little more if they need to? And Brian Robinson has looked really good. The defense, like I said, it's gotten better. This entire team has gotten better as the season has gone on. And when you have a really good quarterback and you have a quarterback playing at the level he is in Jaden Daniels, it makes your entire football team better. The attitude of the team, just the way they play, everything of the football team is just immediately improved. But, now you're playing up against a team that can do everything they need to do to win. Now, the Ravens have struggled to do those things that you need to do against better football teams. But I need to see the Commanders prove it to me and beat one of the better teams in the NFL. Okay. Because versus week 1, the Bucs, it's week 1, whatever, fine. That's still early in the game. But as they're winning, they've gotten better. But are they going to come down to earth a little bit against the Ravens here, who are, one of the better teams and one of the better and more dominant teams in the NFL? I'm interested to see how they do that this weekend, how they close the game out. Could they do it? Lamar Jackson, he can run the football. Derrick Henry can run the football. It could be a tough day for the Commanders stopping the run. Really could be. And that could be the difference in the game. Ravens controlling game. Ravens chewing up that clock. Maybe the rookie quarterback makes that mistake or two against a good Ravens defense. But nonetheless, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a back and forth game. Could be one of those games as whoever has the ball last. But give me the Ravens. Give me a team that has been there. Give me a team that has been one of the better teams in the NFL for quite a few years now. So give me the Ravens 31-23 over the Commanders. I'm pretty confident the Raiders winning and the Ravens winning, but I'm not saying that the Commanders don't have a chance. They just have to prove it to me before I take them in a big game like this. You know what I mean? I was very close to taking the Commanders. I was. But I need to see them do it against this football team. You know, they've beaten up on teams that they should beat up the way they have. So we'll see. We'll see. See if they can prove me wrong. Broncos and Chargers. Boy, this is another tough game. So there are a couple of tough games to pick this weekend. But some of the games, as you look into them a little more, you know, I think they become a little easier than they look on the surface. And I think this is one of them. I'm taking the Broncos in this game because of their defense and the way they have gotten better every single week on offense. Now, last week versus the Raiders, they looked a little questionable at times. I have a couple questions from that game, absolutely. But the defense is just lights out. It's out of this world. And don't get me wrong, the Chargers have a couple of nice weapons. You know, J.K. Dobbins has looked really good. They've been able to run the football really well. You know, and they have a couple of nice weapons. You know, Herbert has a couple of weapons to get the ball too. But now you're going up against a whole different animal, you know, defensive-wise. And when they played the Chiefs, I will say, the Chargers, when they played the Chiefs and they were really beat up the way they were, and they kept that game as close as it was, I was freaking impressed. Beyond belief. I was impressed in how close they kept that game. And now they're getting healthier. They're getting their players back once again. So you would maybe think that they should beat the Broncos. But this Broncos defense has been so strong. And then this Broncos offense has been able to make plays when it has mattered most in clutch moments. So that's why I'm taking the Broncos. I think that the defense is going to have a really, another really strong day. And the offense is going to do what it needs to do when it matters most. So give me the Broncos, 20-17, and a good old AFC West showdown between the, Chargers. Give me the Broncos, 2017. All right, next up on the list, you have the Steelers and the Raiders. So the Steelers are not a very good team at stopping the run. They have struggled to stop the run a bit. But the Raiders can't run the football. And the Raiders can't really pass the football. Gardner Minshew was just benched. They have no explosiveness. There's not really too much substance to that offense. Not really a good offensive line. Don't really have a quarterback that can distribute the ball. You don't really have a run game. You don't really have much in that, offensive wise. And that Steelers defense, when they've gone up against some of the offenses that aren't too good, they look crazy. And that Steelers defense is very good. It's one of the better defenses in the NFL. Absolutely. But now that they're going up against an offense that doesn't have too much firepower, doesn't have too much explosive, doesn't really have too much to it to begin with. The Steelers defense should be fine, should have a day, should have no issues. But I believe they are going across the country. And sometimes that makes a difference. Time difference, starting at a different time. Everything's different. Your whole body, your time clock is all messed up. But Justin Fields in this offense has been looking good. The second half of the Colts game looked very good. And they did what they could against the Cowboys, man. Cowboys defense, it has not been a good run defense. The Cowboys defense has not been very good. But the Steelers offense still struggled against them. And especially the run defense part of Dallas is my bad. The Steelers kind of struggled in that department as well. So that makes me question them a little bit. But they're just a better coach team. They're just a better team overall than the Raiders. Justin Fields has a little bit of power. You got a couple of weapons that Fields can get the ball to. I think they're going to be able to run the football in this game a little bit. So give me the Steelers 20-16. I think it'll be a close, low-scoring game, really sloppy football game, a lot of defense. But give me Steelers 20-16. I'm more confident in the head coach on that side. And just what the Steelers got, I'm taking them. Cowboys and Lions. In Dallas, Cowboys play their best football in Dallas, and they have played their best football the last couple of weeks. But this is not a good matchup for the Cowboys at all. The Cowboys' run defense is one of the worst in the NFL. Can't stop the run to save the lives. They wouldn't be able to stop it to save their own lives. Like you know what I'm saying? and they can't. Their run game has looked a little better, and the Steelers have struggled to stop the run. And you saw the Cowboys did pretty good against them. I mean, Rico Dowdle has looked all right, but now this week you're playing against the Lions defense. You're playing up against the Lions run defense, and you're playing up against the Lions run offense. The Lions are gonna pound the football, run the football all over the Cowboys, and they're gonna stop the Cowboys from running the football. And really, the Lions have struggled against receivers in the slot. Okay, so I can see CeeDee Lamb lining up in the slot a lot this game. But considering it, Dak Prescott has been turnover prone. He hasn't looked too hot at times this season. It's kind of just like a CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott show. It's not going to be enough against this Lions defense, and the Cowboys defense is not going to be able to limit that Lions run offense. I think the Lions are going to run all over the Cowboys. They're going to limit the possessions that the Cowboys offense has, and I think Dak Prescott is going to throw an interception too. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. So give me the Lions, and I'm really confident in this game too. This is one of the games this weekend that I'm very confident in, and I think that the Lions should have all day, especially on the ground. All right, excuse me, but yeah, give me Lions all day long, or the Dallas Cowboys. Have them run all over that freaking defense, dude. Dallas run defense has been one of the worst, and the Lions, they could run on almost anybody. Doesn't matter who's playing defense. They could run on almost anybody. So, give me a Lions, 31-21. Pretty simple for me there. Falcons and Panthers. So, Panthers have had a couple of good outings offensively, with the quarterback change. But, of course, they came back down to earth. We know the Panthers aren't a great football team. Not a good defense, not a good offense. And the Falcons should really have their way with the Panthers here. Should win by more than 6 points. Wouldn't shock me if the Falcons win by 14 or 20. From 14 to 21 points, as I have them winning here. Really strong offense, Kirk Cousins, all those weapons, running the football, it doesn't matter. The Panthers won't be able to stop it. So give me the Falcons, 34-13. It is a divisional game, though. It's something worth mentioning. Division games are always a little closer than you expect. They're always a little weird. They know their opponents the best. They play each other the most, so they know each other the most. They know each other the best. So, but give me the Falcons, man. I mean, too much for the Panthers to handle. We know the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the NFL. Falcons are one of the better teams. So, not going to spend too much more time on that one either. Oh, Bengals and the Giants. Sunday Night Football. What a Sunday Night Football matchup. I mean, I'm being a little sarcastic. But two teams that I think both of these teams only have one win. Am I right? Or the Giants have two. Giants have 2 wins. And the Bengals have 1 win. Bengals have just been so disappointing, dude. I mean, they played a really good game against the Ravens, yeah. But it has to be a Joe Burrow show for them to win any games, really. Joe Burrow has to play damn near perfect, and that is not sustainable. It's not sustainable versus the better teams in the NFL. You can't win those bigger games consistently, and even versus some of the bad teams, it becomes difficult. Their schedule's been tough. You look at they play the Chiefs, the Bengals. The Bengals playing the Bengals. The Chiefs, the Commanders, and the Ravens. The other games, you play the Patriots and the Panthers. Couldn't beat the Patriots. That was week one stuff, whatever, but you still should have beaten them. Panthers, you didn't win that game as convincingly as you probably should have. Now, the game versus the Chiefs was pretty close. It probably, they were close to winning that one. They're in these games that they're losing, but then the games that they win, they're closer than they should be. It has to be a Joe Burrow day. Joe Burrow has to have a perfect game to win games for the Bengals. And I think this weekend, he doesn't necessarily have to do that. You look at the Giants, and the Giants, they're a good football team. Their record doesn't show it, and they simply may not be a really good football team, but they have a couple of things that you look at their team, and you look at a couple of things that they're doing, you're like, oh, okay. They have a couple, they have a couple of things going for them, but it's not enough. It's simply not enough. Daniel Jones, he's too inconsistent. He's not accurate. He can't make good throws. He's overthrowing receivers. He's turning the ball over. And, the defense is all right. The defense is actually pretty good. Defensive line is one of the best in the NFL. And that could be that can make a long day for Joe Burrow, even though that Bengals offensive line has been better than expected. Who knew? Of everything that has been better than expected for the Bengals, it's been the offensive line. The offensive line has been all right. But now this weekend, you're playing against one of the best defense lines in the NFL, if not the best. They're going to get pressure on you all day long. But I think I think that Joe Burrow, and the difference between Joe Burrow and Daniel Jones getting the ball out quick is not even comparable. You can't put them in the same sentence. And I just did, but Joe Burrow can get that ball out quick to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Yoshi Vosh, and on the other side, you just can't get enough from that Giants offense. You can't get enough from the running game. You can't get enough from the passing game. And Malik Neighbors is a beast. He's a monster. He's great. But the rest of the offense is just lackluster. The offensive line is going to struggle. They struggle against everyone. Daniel Jones is probably going to have a rough day. Now, if the Bengals lose this game, it'd be understandable. It's a iffy matchup for them, to be honest with you, with Giants just having a really good defensive line and a decent defense, while the Bengals, they have Joe Burrow and a couple weapons on offense, and that's probably about it. But give me the better quarterback in this matchup. Give me Jamar Chase, Higgins, and Yoshi Vosh and them, and that Bengals offense and Joe Burrow be able to get the ball out quick, and then them receivers making plays after the catch. I wouldn't bet on this game. I wouldn't. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's gonna be there. But give me Bengals 23-20 over New York. It's gonna be a dogfight. It's gonna be a close game and a hard game for the Bengals to win. Every single game is gonna be a hard game for the Bengals to win, just because of how bad the entire team is, except for the offensive line playing okay and Burrow and having a couple really good weapons. The defense is really bad. The run game isn't really there. It's not consistent enough. The offensive line is going to have a bad day because the Giants' defensive line is that good. But Joe Burrow will be able to get the ball out quick, and that'll be the difference in this game. That's it. So give me Bengals 23-20. Last game. Give me the Jets. Give me the Jets. We see so many times when a head coach is fired, that team where the head coach was fired comes out and they play incredible football, right? And now look, the Jets' offense has not been there. Aaron Rodgers cannot get in the same page as his receivers. He cannot get in the same page with the rest of the offense to save his life. They just can't get on the same page. But you look at this Jets defense. This Jets defense is incredible. It's great. It's awesome. And now they have to go ahead and face the Bills. Now, you are playing Josh Allen. You are playing a very quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And they can run the football. They can run that damn football, dude. They can control the clock, and they can control the game that way and win that game and win that way. But my issue with the Bills is that they have a plethora of weapons. Without Khalil Shakir, there is no one that you can count on to step up and make big plays. When you have Khalil Shakir, it's a little bit different. He's a deep threat, big playmaker threat. He's an awesome receiver, awesome playmaker. But even with him, and then without him, I do like Dalton Kincaid. I do like Dawson Knox. But sometimes you need receivers to get open, and you need those receivers to make plays for you. And I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to do it against this Jets defense. This Jets defense is strong. DJ Reed, Sauce Gardner, defensive line, linebackers, safeties. It's a strong defense. And Josh Allen can only do so much by himself. It'll be a low-scoring game. It will be. But give me the Jets. Even though what I kind of said that Aaron Rodgers can't really get on the same page as his weapons. At least he has a couple weapons. You know what I'm saying? He has a couple weapons that are a little more consistent. I think the Jets are going to be able to run the football. The Bills have not been good at stopping the run. So I think the Jets are going to be able to run the football, and they're going to be able to limit the possessions. And Josh Allen's going to have one of those games. He's going to have a couple of turnovers, whether it's his fault or not. A couple of tip passes, maybe just off the mark passes. Either way, maybe fumbling the ball once or twice. Give me the Jets. Give me that Jets defense making an extra play, getting an extra turnover, and then be able to run the football. and limit the clock, and then coming off of firing a head coach and winning a football game, as a lot of football teams do. It's so common. But I just think that the Jets are going to win this football game. I think it's going to be a good game. I believe the Jets are at home. So give me Jets 2017. And that's going to be it for my weekly predictions. I'm sorry, guys, if I wasn't really like myself. I didn't feel like I was on point in this video, and I could feel it. I just can't keep like thoughts together. Still getting sick. But I had to push this video out. I had to get it out. We do this every week. It's been one of our best videos. It's a hit every single week. So I apologize if I wasn't really there this week. I apologize if it didn't seem like my thoughts were really coordinated as well as they usually are. But that's all I got for you this week. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show. Thank you for tuning in to our weekly predictions. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put that post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.